less plateaued, hopefully. All right, so thanks everyone for joining. Welcome again to the third webinar about the Graduate Student Council. My name is Meiti. I'm with the Orientation Committee, one of the chairs. Shashank, of course, is also here. If you want to say hi, Shashank. Guess, yeah. Oh,
hello. Yeah,
there we go. Yep. So okay. So first, we want to say that we've received a lot of questions about the school in general, like what the plan is, and we know basically as much as you do, unfortunately, at this point. But the school has come out and said that by the week of July 6th, they will commit to a plan for graduate students. So be on the lookout for that. We'll have more information post MIT's announcement because we're also kind of working around their information as well. But that information is coming soon, so sit tight. It is coming. We will all figure out how to go through this semester together. But in the meantime, hopefully these webinars have been useful for you, and this is another chance to explain and elaborate on another aspect of student life, the Graduate Student Council. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Jerry, who is our Vice President, and you can give a quick introduction about what the GSC or Graduate Student Council is about, and we'll move on from there. So Jerry, if you want to go ahead and take the floor.
Hi, everybody. As Meiti said, my name is Jerry. I'm the GSC VP. I'm a third year, going into my fourth year PhD student in the mechanical engineering department. So in terms of basic structure, the GSC is divided into several layers, and the kind of main thing about GSC is that it's made up of a bunch of different committees, which we'll all be presenting and talking later in this presentation. And all of these committees are kind of dedicated towards targeting and addressing specific issues and areas of importance with respect to graduate student life. And presiding over these committees is the chair of all these committees who will be speaking today. And important to note is that these committees are also made up of a bunch of subcommittees which target even more specific issues, goals, or events that are deemed important by the committee. And now most of you are probably wondering why the GSC is important. Is it just like another student government body? And in a lot of ways it is, right? The GSC is around specifically to advocate on behalf of graduate students and provide, that kind of community that graduate students desire. And it's worth noting that, MIT is a great place, but it's also full of problems. And GSC is meant to not only talk to administration on your behalf and advocate for the changes that you want to see, but it's also a gateway for your further involvement into the institution should you desire. Take it away, Meiti.
Yeah, so Shashank, if you want to switch slides to the committee page, yeah. So this is a quick introduction of basically the offices that fall under the GSC. So our president, Madeline, is a very busy person given the current time, so she unfortunately couldn't make it. But we also have, of course, Vice President Jerry, our secretary and treasurer, who are both here. Stephen and Naveen, if you want to say a quick hello to everybody, maybe like a quick little blurb about what you do.
Hey everyone, I'm Naveen. I'm the GSC secretary.
And Stephen.
Yeah, hi, I'm Stephen, current treasurer. I play with money and work with Lauren a lot, and she is a wonderful and amazing person, so she deserves a shout out too.
Yeah, and I will say that part of the related to the treasury position is that the GSC actually has a lot of resources available to it. And so the GSC, yes, is a student government, and maybe you've had experiences with ineffective student governments in the past, but we do have the resources to kind of back up what we do. For example, something that impacts students, I guess, directly is that they were able to advocate for a pay raise this upcoming year, despite the fact that there is a hiring freeze all throughout the school. And it basically was the GSC arguing that this money is much more useful for grad students than, like the president of the university making a lot of money. And so it's these kinds of things that directly impact your life that the GSC does advocate for. And like Jerry said, the GSC is made up of a lot of different committees that you can be involved in that directly impact different aspects of student life, as well as external affairs as well. So again, a quick overview. We have the academics, research, and careers, what we know as ARC. The one thing you will learn about GSC is that, and MIT, is that we love our numbers and we love our acronyms. So you'll see a lot of those around. So we have ARC, the activities, which is things like social events. Again, we'll go in depth to each of these committees as we get to them. We have ASA, which is kind of an overview body of all the student groups, or most of the student groups on campus. Diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, obviously very important given the current times. The External Affairs Board, which, like it says, deals with interacting with GSC and local and national government. So how do we externally advocate for our goals in a actual governmental setting? Housing and community affairs, again, also fairly important in the current times. The Muddy Charles Pub, which we have a student-run pub on campus. That's pretty neat. Jennifer will talk about that. And then there's us, the Orientation Committee with Shashank and I. And we also have GSC administration who have been extremely helpful. Lauren, who is on this call, if she wants to say hi real quick. She's been on previous calls as well.
Yeah, I'm the one who takes care of the bills and make sure that anything that's submitted, anytime any of the expenses are made by these committees or any of the events that come together with myself and my colleague Betsy Grenese, we assist the students and we liaise with the our main office, which is the Office of Graduate Education.
Great, yeah, thanks, Lauren. So yeah, like you can see from this list, there's a lot of things that GSC interacts with. And I do want to say, like, participation is by no means mandatory, but it has been a very fulfilling experience to be part of the GSC. So, you know, I definitely advocate for getting involved. And with that, I think we can go ahead and actually introduce our committees one by one. So we'll go ahead and start with ARC, the Academic Research and Careers Committee.
So hi everyone, I'm Simone, can you hear me? Yes, I think so. I'm one of the two co-chairs of ARC, starting from this year. So ARC is the GSC committee whose main goal is actually to improve your professional and academic life at MIT. Just to give you a very simple overview of our committee, there is ARC that is the main committee, and then below us there are three subcommittees that are, one is MIT Vista, that is our subcommittee for visiting students here at MIT. Advising Advisor subcommittee that actually, whose main goal is actually to improve the relationship between advisor and advisees. And alumni relationship that is actually taking care of organizing events in order to keep contact between alumni from MIT and current students here at MIT. So can you scroll down, please? Yeah, so our events, actually, we organize different events, starting from very small informal networking events, but also large events that are actually sometimes involve hundreds of people. And right now, actually, hopefully when everything will come back quite to previous life yet, we actually planning to organize academic career series in which, you know, it's a panel series for academic jobs, or if you're looking for special postdoc position, or you're thinking, you know, about different or unconventional PhD career opportunity, then we organize development skills workshop. But then, as I mentioned before, with our subcommittees, we work in relationship between alumni and students, or how to improve also the relationship with your advisor. So try to, again, improve not only your life, but your also academic life here at MIT. And yes, also try to involve the visiting students that are coming at MIT every year for a few months. So try to give them a better experience here at MIT. So again, scrolling down, our main goal is, is try with our events and try to improve your life here. So you want to stay in academia, you can join one of these Roads to Academia events. You want to, you know, attend a conference that is not strictly, not relevant, but not strictly related to your research. You can apply for travel grants that we are offering. You want, you know, try to understand what, maybe not now, but in your future, what you can do after your life here at MIT. You can, you know, have also an informal chat with many alumni from MIT. Or again, you can join the advising subcommittee if you actually want to improve the departmental standards for advising. So actually, we are always open to many new projects if you have any idea. Final slides, thank you. If you have any idea of you can be interested, we are always looking for new people because I guess the more the better. So if you can be interested, either reach us via email or check our webpage. Thank you very much.
Great. And activities. Oh, and just I wanted to quickly say, if anybody has questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A panel at the bottom of your window, and then we'll get to them at the end. So, yep, activities.
So, hey guys, I'm Somu. I'm a second year PhD student in Mackey, going to third year now, and I'm one of the co-chairs for the activities committee.
Hello.
And yeah.
My name's Henry. I'm the other co-chair. I'm a third year in chemistry.
Yeah. So Shashank next. So yeah, what is AC? It's pretty simple. Like, if you watch the sitcom called Happy Days, most of the other committees in GSC are like the functioning council serving like servicing the needs of all the graduate students. But we are like Fonzie. We're there. You can't have Fonzies to run the government, but Fonzie is still cool. So we're Fonzie. Yeah, next. So we host a bunch of cool events throughout the year. We have like the Taste of series, where we introduce one cultural cuisine every month or once every 2 months. We have the ski trip that happens once in the winter. We have the Battle of Bands that happens once every year, the Grad Gala. I'll be talking a little bit more about some of the more popular events, but like we usually plan a lot of events all throughout the year. And hopefully, ideally, and in the most ideal scenario, we would have all these events. But this year, it depends on how things are going to get back. But at least in the later half of the academic year, we can look at doing some really cool stuff. Next. And yeah, obviously, apart from the events that we plan, if you have any ideas of cool stuff that you want to do, like we said here, if you want to do something stupid and you think that if more graduate students can join you and make it less stupid, do attend our meetings and pitch some of your cool ideas to us. And yeah, next. Yeah, so talking a little bit more specifically about the events that we have. We are foodies, so in that sense, we host the Taste of series, where so we have like one culture, like sort of present their food, their cuisine, as well as we have some cultural performances from that particular culture. And this is open to the entire graduate committee, lots of community, lots of food and fun, and it's there once every month. We are posh. We host the Grad Gala. It's an annual event with about 400 attendees, and it's the official black tie event for the entire MIT graduate committee. We have lots of, we usually pick a very fancy venue. Last to last year, we had it on a ferry. The year before that, we had the Museum of Science. Unfortunately, this year it got canceled because of COVID-19, but hopefully next year we'll have it at a really cool place again. And yeah, if you want to help with the planning of this event, you could join the subcommittee as well. Yeah, we are dangerous. We undertake. Yeah.
So I'm going to say, I made the slide last year, and then you follow football. It was a very optimistic year for my boy, the Dog Pounds over there. Now I'll admit, the year did not go quite as planned, and I'll also admit 2020 has not quite gone as planned as we would have liked. Some wrenches in the system. But we are looking optimistically towards the next year, and we will take what we have and make the best of it. So
yeah. So
keep your heads up, boys.
Yeah, but just so I mean, as a grad student, you're going to be here for a few years. So if not next year, we still have a lot of years coming ahead. So yeah, next. So we have the ski trip that's usually during end of January, early February. It's open to all MIT grad students, and we usually have tickets that go on sale for like extremely reasonable prices, like much cheaper than if you plan it out yourself. And this event is definitely one like that you shouldn't miss out. Next. We have a whale watching trip that happens during the summer. Unfortunately, this summer it might not happen, but hopefully summer 2021, you could spend some time on a nice summer day, watching whales. Really fun stuff. The Six Flags trip, again, another event that we organize in the summer. Summer 2021, hopefully, the next time we organize it. And yeah, we are like the dreamy musicians with a guitar and a great accent. We host some really fun musical events as well. We have the Battle of the Bands, which is like a showcase for the MIT's musical community. It's usually held in March. Did not happen this year, but would happen next year for sure. And the Acoustic BBQ, hopefully this might, again, this is another event where we have like, you can just come after at the end of the semester, you guys can just chill out with food, drinks, and some music. Again, looking to have this next year, hopefully. And like I said, we are graduate students just looking to have some fun. So if you have any fancy ideas, if you have any fancy ideas, or you just want to, volunteer for some of these events, you get free tickets for helping out. And if you have certain events in mind, you could just join our meetings, and we definitely pitch it. And most importantly, we have free food in our meetings. And
so just in general, learning about the GSC and all the committees here, they all do very good things to help the graduate students. Our goal is to make fun events, just trying to take people's minds away from the droll of lab. We host a lot of recurring events, and we want new events. So it's a good way to kind of get involved in the GSC in a more casual manner. Just kind of come to events. Like you basically get free tickets to all these events just for very minimum work. You get to host events, just free tickets to fun things you want to do around Boston. So I think it's a good deal for those of you who just kind of want to get out of lab and meet new people.
Great. So thanks for that. And next up is the Association of Student Activities, or ASA, with Becca.
Hi everyone, my name is Becca. I am a rising fourth year PhD candidate in the Department of Biological Engineering, and I am the current president of the Association of Student Activities. We are kind of unique among the GSC subcommittees in that we aren't technically just a GSC subcommittee. The ASA is actually joint between the Undergraduate Association, which is the undergraduate student government, and the GSC. So we are technically under both committees at once, which can be very confusing at times. But it means that we are open to any undergraduate and graduate student who wants to join us in our mission to essentially oversee student groups on campus. So it's maybe a different system than where you did your undergraduate education, but clubs at MIT, student groups, aren't just under a administrative office. We do have one. It's called SOLE, S-O-L-E. But the ASA is a student board that oversees student organizations on campus. So we sort of split responsibilities. We are the ones who oversee the recognition of student groups, allocation of resources, policy making, and so on and so forth. We are organized with 5 sort of executive members and then as many sort of other members as we like. We have a president and a secretary and then 3 subcommittees. So we're a GSC subcommittee with further subcommittees, as you've seen several organizations have as well already. But we have one group that oversees any financial grants that we allocate that also has representation from the GSC and UA treasurers. One group that oversees the allocation of space on campus, and one that manages group recognition and de-recognition. And all of these subcommittees are designed to have both graduate and undergraduate representation on them. Although again, we can have as many from either constituency as want to join us. So the ASA has quite a myriad set of responsibilities. We have 2 very large grants that we distribute quarterly for large events and recurring cultural events. We oversee the allocation of office and storage space on campus. We have a couple buildings with very extensive amounts of space just for the use of student groups. Publicity, so if you've ever had the chance to visit campus, you may remember some very long hallways with a lot of bulletin boards. The ASA allocates those to student groups to use. And we have 2 large club fairs, one during orientation and one for admitted undergraduate students in the spring. To be determined what those will look like for this coming fall, but we had a virtual one for the spring that ended up being pretty successful, worked out a lot of the kinks. Other than just space and money matters, we do also oversee group recognition and derecognition, as I mentioned on the next slide. And that's one small bullet point, but takes up a lot of our work. We have anywhere from 20 to 40 student groups recognized every semester, and it's really exciting to see the new ideas that people bring to campus. It's as easy as having 5 students who want to do what you want to do, submit an application if we think it's novel and interesting and will bring value to the campus, boom, you have a student group. We also have some more administrative responsibilities. So we are the sort of connection between student groups and administrative staff in the Department of Student Life to bring any issues that they have to their attention. If there are issues within a student group or between student groups, we can help to arbitrate and moderate those. And also thinking big picture about what does it mean to be a student group? What are the policies that they should follow? How do we actually want to shape student life on campus? So if you're interested in getting involved, we are always open to new members and you can hit us up. This is going to be a very interesting year for student life on campus. We're already having the discussions about what will it mean for things to be more virtual and for campus to be de-densified? What will student life look like? How do we make sure that the community on campus is still thriving? Because we think, just like the activities committee, that your student life is just as important as the academic and research life on campus. So if you want to be part of those discussions and to make that happen, check us out. You can find all our information on our website or email us directly.
Yeah, so like Becca said, MIT is a place with a lot of people with a lot of different interests that is represented by the myriad of organizations on campus. And so there's bound to be a club on campus that fills your interest. And if there isn't, then you can form one. And the ASA is a great place that you should contact if you're interested in joining or forming a club. So with that, we'll move on to diversity, equity, inclusion, or DEI with Bianca.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bianca. I'm a rising third-year PhD student in biological engineering, and I use she series pronouns. Next slide, please. So the DEI committee has 3 main goals that we present to the university. The first is that we try to amplify the voices of and really help advocate for underrepresented groups in higher education and academia. We basically want it so that every graduate student can really thrive here at MIT. And part of the way we do this is we help to promote awareness, engagement, and community building around diverse experiences. And this can be through collaborations with student groups on campus, as well as with different departments. And lastly, we really want to hold both MIT, the institution, as well as the Graduate Student Council accountable for the recruitment, retention, and degree completion of underrepresented graduate students. Next slide, please. So a lot of our projects are really student-led and dialogue-driven. Because of the decentralized nature at MIT, there's oftentimes a lot of diversity, equity, inclusion projects that are distributed across different departments. So some of our work is bringing students together to collaborate on issues that they see within their departments and sharing best practices across them. So for instance, we helped create a document which outlines application assistance programs for applicants from underrepresented groups who are applying to graduate school. A few departments, including my own in biological engineering, started this as a graduate student effort about a couple of years back, and we're hoping to expand it to other departments that are interested in it. We also do institute-wide sort of projects as well, which includes the promotion of bias-related training for students as well as for faculty and staff, in addition to acquiring data with relations to DEI-related questions in our surveys, both department-wide and MIT-wide. And one of the cool projects we had this past year is that we had helped develop questions for our enrolled student survey that was taken in 2019. And because we were a partner in the development of the questions, we're allowed to give students and student groups access to department level specific data, which can be then broken down into different groups of interest, including things like gender and ethnicity. This upcoming year is going to be very interesting because the Institute just got the new Institute Community Equity Officer here on campus. His name is John Dozier, and he's going to help MIT create an overall strategic action plan. So DE&I is going to be a collaborative partner in this endeavor, in particular in bringing graduate student voices from all over campus to help craft what we want our goals to be for the next 3 to 5 years. And then lastly, in relation to a lot of the current events that have been going around in the United States, there is a big push for discussions on anti-racism, specifically about anti-Black racism. So the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion team, we created an allyship guide for research groups to be able to navigate these types of discussions within their own labs. Next. As with all of the rest of the committees, we're hoping that a lot of you all, the new students, can get involved and make a real change here at the Institute. So if diversity, equity, inclusion is something that you're really motivated by, we encourage people to email us and to sign up to our GSC Diversity All mailing list. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that, Bianca. So the HCA chairs unfortunately couldn't be here today again. A lot of us are juggling a lot of things at the same time, but I'll go ahead and speak to what they do a bit. So Shashank, if you could go to the next slide. So yeah, basically what this slide says, the HCA committee focuses on actually a lot of things. So housing obviously affects a lot of people. And so a lot of their focus is on, like at least part of their focus is on housing specifically. So you can see that they focus on community issues and how graduate student services can work with us as a population. And like with a lot of other committees, they kind of work to synergize with other committees in making your experience here better. Either from, you know, like the housing living side, like what can MIT housing do for you? But also how we as a community can advocate for ourselves as well. So it's really a combination of those two things you see in the name, the housing and community affairs. And they've been making a recent push, especially to increase their advocacy of student issues and matters. Okay. And next, we can go ahead and talk about the Muddy Charles Pub with Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I am a third year, soon to be fourth year PhD student in the chemical engineering department here at MIT. I am the chair of the Muddy Charles Pub board. Go ahead to the next slide. So the Muddy Charles Pub is a pub on campus. It is thankfully very close to both the building I took my first year classes in and the building I do research in. And it is in, I think, building 50 is the number. It's in Walker Memorial. And so it was founded in 1968. So it's been around for a while. We just had a nice 50-year anniversary. It's a good place to work, relax, socialize. I've seen many people making figures for research papers, working on research papers, analyzing data, doing it in the Muddy, and just a very good place to hang out. It's open Monday through Friday, and Friday it is actually open around like noon. So, but other days a little bit later in the afternoon. So as I mentioned, oh, I think if you click, there it is. It's in building 50, Walker Memorial, which is closer to the east side of campus, but it is very close to the Infinite Corridor as well. Go to the next slide. So the Board of Governors, or the Muddy Charles Pub Board, we kind of direct what is going on in the pub. It is both graduate students and alumni of the university, and it can also include faculty and staff. It's anywhere from 5 to 15 members, and we are a permanent GSC committee. So the pub board is going to decide things about like, what kind of events does the Muddy want to host? What other groups on campus do we want to host events with? Then we're also looking at getting new furniture in the Muddy, because for those that are on the GSC executive committee that have been in there, furniture is a little old and outdated. So we're looking to revamp that. And some of the stuff we talk about in meetings is how we want to do that. And also just looking at making sure the pub is around for, you know, a long time on and on throughout financial issues such as COVID. Next slide. Oh, hey, talked about all that, cool, in general. So yeah, what can you do to be involved once campus is back up and the Muddy is back open? You know, just come by, swing around. The bar manager, Mike, he is not on the board, but he comes to the meeting and knows us all well. He's a really cool guy, and in general, we'll make sure that events are announced where you can meet the board. You can also join our board meetings. They are open to anyone that is, whether or not you're interested in staying on the board long-term, you can come and see what's going on. And that is an email that will direct an email straight to me if you have any questions. And we have a website that is muddy.mit.edu. It has a little bit about our history and other things like that. So, oh, and we have a Twitter. It's not super active, but we're working on that.
Thanks, Jennifer. So yeah, it's really cool that we have an on-campus pub. I mean, I definitely didn't have that in undergrad. And it's also cool that it's basically student run. And it's a really good place with a good atmosphere. So if you ever need to unwind with a drink, like that's a great place to be. Also still surprisingly productive because people do work in there. So if you're looking to relax or get some work done, you know, that's a good place to be. So next up we have, sorry?
And the drinks are cheap.
The drinks are cheap, yes. Yes. So next up we have External Affairs Board, EAB, with Jordan.
Hey everyone, I'm Jordan. I'm a, I guess, rising third year in the Health Sciences and Technology program between Harvard and MIT. And I'm also the chair of the External Board Spare. So yeah, next slide. So EAB broadly does advocacy on behalf of MIT graduate students to all external entities. This generally pertains to government, so local, state, and federal, but also applies to the general public, so exposing people to MIT and its research and the people behind its research so that they can learn more about it. We also do some internal work in terms of educating MIT grad students about policy and politics. So we also have like events on campus, we'll bring in speakers, and then we partner with MIT Vote to do voter registration and get out the vote stuff, including phone banking and email campaigns for anyone who wants to get more directly involved in either voter stuff or like specific campaigns. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we have several subcommittees. One of them is federal affairs. So they deal with passing statements on federal policy issues pertaining to grad students. In particular, one that we passed recently was one in support of the HEROES Act, which deals with things like COVID relief, and also advocating for like international students to be included for any future COVID-related stimulus plans. We also go down to DC for advocacy trips about 5 times a year for meetings with legislators that we have existing partnerships with. And all of these trips, all of the trips I'm going to talk about are like fully funded. You don't have to pay for anything. We cover everything, which is great because you get to go to DC for free. We develop partnerships and collaborations that support graduate student issues. So we have partnerships with a ton of other student governments at the graduate level to kind of share best practices and learn about like what other people are doing in order to advocate for certain issues. And then past and kind of ongoing focus areas for us at the federal level have included immigration and visa issues, especially right now, science funding, and diversity, equity, and inclusion issues. So things like HR 36, which was a sexual harassment bill. State and local affairs focuses more on state and local policy issues pertaining to grad students. So we take about twice a year now trips to the Massachusetts State House, which is super easy. It's like right across the road from MIT. Although we do pay for that too. We take the T, so like it's $250, but whatever. And also going and visiting the Cambridge City Council. And so past and ongoing focus areas for that include things like student housing, state and local elections, especially this often pertains a little more internally to getting students to vote in state and local elections, because a lot of students don't necessarily realize like how much impact they have in those elections. Local infrastructure, so getting things like protected bike lanes, and then climate issues. And then finally, we have public outreach. Yeah, and so we have a bunch of different initiatives under public outreach that broadly pertain to doing science communication work to the local community, as well as highlighting grad students to their hometowns or local communities. So one of our initiatives is Shine, which is student hometown interviews in newspapers. So we'll connect grad students to reporters at their local hometown newspapers and see if we can get them to write an article about those students. And so one of our past board members, Allie, you can see has an article written about her in her local hometown paper. Another one is Student Hometown Institute Presentations, or SHIP. So we'll pay grad students to like go back to their alma mater, usually at the K through 12 level, to talk about their research and their journey so that students can learn more about how they can also do science. And then we were planning to do 3-minute thesis this year. Obviously that got canceled. And also things like Cambridge Science Festival, but we're planning to do those going forward, pandemic permitting, I guess. But also offer things like volunteer opportunities at the Museum of Science and other like partner science outreach organizations in Cambridge. And then finally, on the more internal side, we do a lot of educational events. So things like partnering with voter registration to make it so that it's super easy for anyone who's a student to register to vote, hosting political debates, having local candidate events, having seminars and expert panels, doing workshops and having invited speakers. So in particular, we run a seminar series called Advocacy 101 over IAP every year, where people can learn the basics of advocacy, and they get to talk to like local representatives and state level representatives that we've had come back time and time again to talk about what it's like to do advocacy and how you can be an effective advocate. So if you're interested in joining EAB, fighting for grad students at all levels of government, educating grad students in policy and politics, you can shoot me an email at the GSC-EAB email. In particular, I always want to say, like, a lot of international students think that they can't join EAB, and you totally can. We're always happy to have international students. Just because you're not a citizen doesn't mean you can't advocate. And a lot of the time, especially as it pertains to immigration-related things, your like expertise and your experiences are really influential in terms of policy. So, yeah.
Great. And with that, it is us, the orientation committee, or us, or me, I guess, referring to Shashank and I. So next slide. So what's our main goal? Basically, it's all of this that you've been contacted about recently. And that's basically welcoming you all to the MIT community. We really want this to be your first step into the MIT family. The MIT Alumni Network is big, it's vast, and if you have the opportunity to connect to it, it's very useful. But even that's a little bit further down the line, but once you're at MIT, there's a lot of things that you can do to be part of the community, and we want to make sure that you do feel like you're not just stuck in your lab by yourself, that you are part of a bigger community. So what do? We have two main thrusts split up into kind of time-wise. We have pre-orientation events, which is now. So everything before the start of the fall semester. And so we do webinars like these. We also do social events. And we are actually planning on hosting an icebreaker social for all of you in the next week or two. So be on the lookout for that. We know that all of these things that we've done so far have been fairly informational and hopefully useful, but we want to do something fun. And so we want to get you all talking to each other, and that'll be one of those events. And of course, we also have actual orientation events. And so one of the cool things about MIT is that we have one of the, if not the at some point, largest student-run graduate orientation in the country. We have basically 2 to 3 weeks worth of events, a lot of free food. And that is granted in the normal times before COVID. So we'll have to see what this looks like. But Usually we'll have, again, informational events, also social events, things like banquets, picnics, hikes. There are a lot of great hiking trails around the Boston area. We also have a beach. A lot of people don't realize that, but we do have a very nice beach in Boston, a little bit outside of Boston technically, but it is connected to the subway, and so we do make trips there. Again, food, and we'll also have virtual get-togethers during orientation itself as well. Again, because of the current times. But yeah, we'll keep you updated on how all of that looks. So if you want to get involved, basically, I think if you get involved, it's a great way to meet new people, obviously. You get new perspectives, which I think is always great. You know, once you're inside your lab, you do kind of get stuck in the same cycle of, you know, going into lab, going out, kind of the same daily routine. But it is nice to break that with new perspectives from new students. And, you know, if you don't enjoy something about your orientation experience, come join us and help us decide on future events. And this is also a chance to share your experience with others. So this is a little bit, you know, later on, but once you're a rising second year next year, you can use your newfound wisdom to help incoming students as they adjust. And yeah, if you thought something could be changed, you know, we welcome you to be part of that change and join us. I guess I don't have the link here, but you know how to contact Shashank and I at this point. And of course, we have our orientation page as well. So yeah, that's the orientation committee.
Just to add on to that, if you have any suggestions with respect to the current orientation, if you think something is missing, we should have something more, just feel free to reach out. These are pretty dynamic times, so it's good that you have some suggestion. We'll be happy to implement that as a part of our overall orientation.
Yeah, well, we do have some cool virtual events planned, but if you have something else in mind or saw a cool idea somewhere and think it'd be good for the student body, this is your chance to contribute. Like definitely, like we're open to ideas, we can make it happen. Okay,
yeah.
So that's pretty much it from orientation. And I think at this point, that's all of the committees. And so we're open to questions. So feel free to put your questions in the Q&A panel. So first off, it looks like we have a question that says, all these events are great. What do we find out about them? And that's actually a great question. So Naveen can talk a little bit about this potentially, but we have what's called the GSC Anno. And that is an email that gets sent out every week, I believe Sunday or Monday? Monday, thank you. That details all the events that are happening that week and a little bit of time ahead of that. And so if you're a group, like whether it's, you know, student government or whether it's a club that you're part of, and you want to advertise an event, you can sign up to show up in the Anno email, and your event will be advertised. So once you're in the school, like that's where you will find out all this information. Like it is there in a weekly email you get.
And they can also subscribe to GSC calendar. Right?
Yes, yeah. So we also have a GSC Gmail calendar as well, and we can send instructions for that in the follow-up email to this webinar. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll just go through these one by one. But okay. So another question: I was planning to go to MIT by August 30th. So again, so the question is basically, will orientation and all the events around that time be virtual? We can't say for sure until the beginning of July, once MIT commits to a plan. We just kind of have to work within the confines of whatever they tell us. I would not be surprised if things were virtual. I will say that no matter what, we will have virtual events because we know that people, especially internationally, will have issues getting into the country. And so we want to make sure that we have virtual events for those people. So no matter what, there will be virtual events. So, you know.
There's another question related to orientation. When exactly does the orientation start?
So yeah, orientation events, again, kind of depend on the beginning of the calendar year. And that is something that the school has yet to decide yet. It looks like they're still planning on having like a typical fall and spring semester, but the start date of that is a little bit up in the air. We usually have events starting like the week before classes start.
Roughly around 15th August or something, right?
Yeah, and again, the first week of July is when MIT will send out that information. We will send out an email pretty shortly after with our plan in accordance to what MIT says.
Yep. Another question was, what if you're a transferring student, third year starting in August? Does it matter to be a part of GSC?
I mean, like it always matters to be part of the GSC. You should always be interested in joining. It doesn't matter like how long you've been here or what experience you have. Feel free to join. Like if you think if you have some interest that's relevant to the GSC, like if you want to advocate for government policy, or if you have a cool club idea, or you want to help with the pub, like there is no like time restriction at all. Actually, last year's orientation chair joined right after orientation. He joined MIT in August, and he decided he wanted the orientation chair for the next year in November. So
Can I
like
speak to that for a sec?
Yes.
So what happened is he was an incoming student, and we decided, we did a little experiment. So we said, what do incoming students really want to know? And what happens is I work with all the chairs who come and do this event. They decided, when you're here for so many years, you know the shorthand, you kind of forget how intense moving to campus can be, especially in this environment. So we had borrowed Samesh last year as sort of an advisor, and he helped address what are called expert blind spots, things that we already knew but forgot that we already knew this, and things that incoming students didn't have. So we at the GSC, we try to be as flexible as possible and try new things like that. So we know that we are helping address anything that's going on with students. So yeah, Samesh was actually in his first year and planning the orientation at the same time. It was very interesting.
Yeah, so like, no matter what interest you have, no matter how little time you've been here, if the first day you get here, you think something is wrong and you think it should be addressed by joining the GSC, feel free to do that. Like there's no time limit or experience limit. But yeah, I think basically a lot of the questions are also centered around when the school year will start. And again, we just kind of have to work with admin on this. So we'll let you know as soon as we know. I realize that's kind of a frustrating answer.
The formal answer should be that around, it's usually the week of August 30th is when things start the programming starts. The GSC usually likes to do things a little bit sooner. Once again, like you've said, we have to wait and see what's happening. But August 31st is officially when the Institute at least starts on the undergrad side, and we tend to partner with them on a lot of the space issues. So plan on around August 31st.
Yeah, the rule of thumb is like we'll start events as soon as we realize there are students on campus. So if the campus is allowing, like the institute is allowing you to stay on campus from 15th of August, we'll start events around that time. So that's the basic rule of thumb. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, like if you have any more like specific orientation questions, we can definitely answer that individually. Please just let us know. So we got another question. How does GSC collaborate with organizations on campus, i.e. the BGSA, and off campus? So Bianca, would you be able to speak to that actually? Is Bianca there?
Yes, sorry. I was just finding my mute button.
No worries.
So at least with DEI, we like to collaborate as much as possible with student groups, such as the BGSA. In fact, the BGSA right now has a petition, and I'll put it in the chat for you all. But what we do is we like to promote the events that they're holding, as well as help advocate for very similar issues policy-wise to MIT. So my committee has a representative who basically goes to meetings of, for example, BGSA and other groups, and then reports back to our committee. And that person is the underrepresented minorities CREP.
I will also chime in about student groups on campus. Some can actually sort of merge to live under the GSC. One that comes to mind is Graduate Women at MIT. WAMIT is technically under a student club under the ASA, but they also live under the GSC, and that means because their mission ties so closely into what the GSC does, they can have access to different funding sources. They do administrative things a little bit differently than some other just sort of standard ASA student clubs. We had a club apply for recognition this year that we said, you should really go be under DEI, because what you do is, again, so closely tied in with their mission. You could sort of live under them and still operate independently, but again, have access to different funding sources and different abilities to sort of contact administration on campus for some of the initiatives they wanted to do. So depending on how student groups work, some can work, side by side with a GSC or even as sort of one unit.
Great. I'll give the participants like another minute to ask any of their last minute questions. But Shashank, if you wanted to say
There was
something.
another question earlier, which was how do we join GSC? Like, what is the correct time? When does the elections takes place? How do we become a part of GSC as such? So
yeah, I guess Jerry, if you want to speak to that a bit.
Hi, yeah. So you can join most of the committees just ad hoc, just go to their meetings, email the chairs. You can find more of that information on the GSC website at gsc.mit.edu. Separately, if you want to become your departmental or your dorm rep, you can ask your dorm government or your department government and run for that position. Alternatively, even further from that, if your department doesn't even have a department government, then you can also do a petitions thingy and kind of become a council rep that way, and you'll be able to participate in our monthly meetings that way. I highly recommend getting involved at any of the levels. All of the subcommittees do a lot of great work. All of the committees do a lot of great work, and we would all love to have you.
Okay. And the chair of different committees are elected around March and April, right?
Yes, all of the elections happen around March and April, with some being rolling elections, like if we decide to search for new chairs, or if chairs resign, or if there is openings.
And you definitely don't have to run for like an elected position. If you want to just participate, email any of us.
Yes.
Yeah. Got another question. Could the GSC help grads find an on-campus job? It's a good question. I guess the most relevant, I mean, Jennifer, I guess like, are there jobs open at the Muddy that you could speak to?
The bartenders at the Muddy are generally graduate students, and I know we did just have a lot graduate, but that being said, now that I think about it, because the bartenders are not as like the bar manager, Mike, oversees the bartenders, not the board. So that's actually something I don't know, but it is a job.
I do believe there's an online portal for these things. If you email me separately, I can get back to you on this, but I do believe there's like a job posting board that is internal to MIT students as well. So
there's also the grad community fellows. They receive a stipend. Our webmaster was actually hired through one of the job boards. And I think it was under the Student Financial Services. They used to run a job board as well. And there's usually stuff posted on the walls. Because we're not seeing it that way, it's a little bit harder. You can also reach out to CAPD. Sometimes they have stuff that's posted as well. Different companies come in and approach students as well.
Yeah, career professional development is what CAPD stands for. So yeah, so yeah, like we also have dedicated MIT offices for these sorts of things as well. Yep. All right. It looks like we aren't getting too many more questions, so I think we can pretty much close it. So yeah, if anybody has any questions to any of these committees, we will send out an email with all of the links to each of the committees' emails. But we can also get you in contact with the like president, vice president, if that's what you'd like. So yeah, again, if you are interested in any of these things, please feel free to reach out. It's a great opportunity to get involved, even virtually. Like we're still doing some stuff virtually. So be sure to get involved if you're interested. There's a lot of opportunity there. And again, orientation-wise, be on the lookout for this Icebreakers social event that we're going to be having soon. And yeah, with that, yeah, Sean,
yeah. The next thing is Icebreakers, and as soon as MIT decides, like gives us a decision for the next semester, we'll be having the sessions related to finance and all, to how to set up the accounts and all, based on what MIT decides. And probably towards the end of July, we'll have webinars talking about the general life around Boston, like how things are looking, how the markets are looking, what kind of stuff you should buy and prepare for coming here. Stuff.
Yeah.
There's a attendee raising hand. I am letting him speak. Samuel, you want to speak?
We can Sam, if you're okay, I'm gonna unmute you. Okay.
I think I just unmuted him.
Does not seem to be working.
Hey, Samuel.
Yeah, he might have left.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Samuel, if you do have a question, again, feel free to email us and we'll get into contact with the relevant person. Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, I think pretty much good to go. I want to thank all the panelists from the GSC for helping out and joining us. And again, if anybody else has any other questions, email us and we'll be in contact. So until the next webinar or social events, we'll see you then. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
Should I stop recording?
I